What's going on, guys? We have the week 3 scoreboard for the League of Superheroes, also formerly known as the Telegram 10. So we'll go into, let's go first into this game right here. We got JD, the Burlington Boys versus Big Bill's Bullies. Now, this week I'm going to try to get through the games a little quicker because we're going to look through the standings, and I thought last week's video went a little too long. So looks like we have JD going to 2-1 after he was ranked last by the power rankings, and he is now 2-1. So he's also beaten the defending champ Bill, who falls to 1-2. Surprisingly, definitely not anything that can keep him away from the playoffs or anything, but still, it's a little surprising to see the defending champ 1-2. He actually had a really good week. He just ran into the wrong team. Deshaun Watson had 25 points, and you wouldn't have thought that watching that game. I didn't think he played that well at all. Same thing with the game against Tennessee as well. Collins, Yeldon, solid numbers for running backs. Let's see, he was out without Fournette, so that was definitely hurt him a lot. He might have won if Fournette was in. Looking at JD, he had set a solid overall game from everybody. Even it was a nice start to start Mohamed Sanu. Jordan Nelson scored a little bit more, but Sanu definitely pulled his weight a little bit, scoring 13. And he did this with a down game from Gronk too. His two running backs, Morris and Hyde, really had really good games. Tyler Lockett has been a really good draft pick thus far. He's the 16th ranked running back, so really solid. Let's move on to one of the ugliest games of probably the year so far for this league. Mo somehow wins with 88 points. Now, this is not 88 points from last year. All right, this is 88 points this year for half PPR. It's hard to equate to what this would have been last year, but this would this would have been like a 75 to like 60 game last year. Nothing much to say from George's side. Everyone underperformed. If he started David Johnson over Latavius, it would have made the game a little closer. The only thing he could have really done, I'm looking at it here, is if he started Mike Williams. Which, tough call. I mean, the way Keelan Cole performed last week against New England, I would have started him too. But tough loss. I mean, it's hard to argue with a loss when you scored 73 points. So, Mo, 89, not the greatest. He would have lost against basically, I think, everyone else. Maybe I think there's one other person that scored 78, but it's hard to say anything positive for him other than Big Ben and Odell. His kicker scored 15. That's not bad. So let's move on. This is kind of a crappy game. Not to offend anybody, but nothing too much stood out there. Hassan versus SN. This was one of the most talked about games in the chat yesterday. Hassan went with Matt Ryan and just absolutely destroyed the Saints, even though they lost. But 5 touchdowns, no picks, 40 points so far. Other than maybe the first Fitzpatrick game, this might have been one of the highest scoring performances of the year so far. I think there might have been a Mahomes game in there too. But really good by Hassan. Kelsey scored 15. Ingram got hurt, I think, in the first half of that game, and he still won. Just overall solid performances around from everyone, I guess. But it was really Matt Ryan who carried him. SN, he disregard that. Hopefully there's no Jewish people in this chat. So there we go. So we got Fitzpatrick scoring 25 points. He almost made a comeback along with Pittsburgh. in that Monday night game yesterday with James Conner and Juju, but definitely not enough to beat Hassan's team. Uh, if he started Adrian Peterson over Chris Thompson, he obviously would have won. Now it's tough going game to game, figuring out who out of those two are going to be the one you want to start. Maybe you could start even both. But Chris Thompson was more consistent up until that point than AP, because AP had that really big game, but then he had the terrible game last week against the Colts. So I would have picked Thompson as well, especially with his receiving upside. So it's tough to pick. It was tough to pick Peterson over Chris Thompson. And even now, going into the foreseeable future, that's kind of a decision he's going to have to make. But not this upcoming week, because I believe the Redskins are on a bye. But that's definitely something. It's going to be a storyline for SN, and he's also sitting McCoy and Fitzgerald, two of his higher picks, as well. He still scored a decent amount. So SN's team is still very much in the thick of things here. He's got a lot of options. AK and Kaleem. Now, Kaleem had that huge game against me the first week. And in the last two games, I think he's failed to reach like 85 points or something like that. This is how my year has been going in this league. But AK had a really good performance from his dynamic duo of Breeze and Kamara. And he has a good team surrounding them. I know he doesn't really have a second running back, because trust me, I'm pretty big. I'm full aware of the Peyton Barber experience, because he was on my team as my running back too the first 2 weeks. But he has nice wide receivers. I like Cooks. And he has a good bench. He has Rivers on his bench. I like his team. I like Graham too. I think Graham's going to get better this year. I was watching some of those Green Bay games. I mean, Rodgers is a little bit hurt. But I think he's going to get. I think the touchdowns are going to go up for Graham. Now with Kaleem, he has basically he has Mixon hurt, which hurts him. But everything else did not look good. I mean, Keenan Allen was absolutely horrendous. It wasn't that he played poorly. It's just like it looked like Rivers was targeting the running backs and Mike Williams a lot more in that game against the Rams. And it was a tough matchup for Keenan Allen, because he has those two good cornerbacks with the Rams as well. But I think they got hurt too. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Everywhere else, Saquon is a stud. I was concerned about him going into this year, not because of his talent, but because I just didn't believe in the Giants' offensive line, and I didn't believe in Eli. And both of those things have been proven to be true. I don't think I was wrong about that. But the thing is just Saquon is just so good. Is that his talent? It just outperforms everything. He's just one of those running backs like Zeke. I guess you could throw Bell in there, and I was gonna say David Johnson, but he's been kind of struggling this year in his circumstances. I think Saquon is up there with the most talented players in the league, where it doesn't matter what any situation you put him in, he'll still produce numbers, because he's just so gifted. But we got this game, Yates versus Gunn. Yates goes to 2-1, and he looks like now finally the fantasy football pro here is actually making a run towards the playoffs, possibly. He's definitely ahead of my sad division. We'll take a look at that in a second. Mahomes has been a revelation, obviously, and remains, I would think, the top MVP candidate this year. McCaffrey and Gordon, two very solid running backs, will get you points every week. Wide receivers, not the greatest. That is a weakness, but he does have Edelman coming back. I love Sanders this year too. I think me and Yates right. I think I told him that when we drafted Sanders. I think me and him are reading the same website on Sanders. Gio was a good pickup for him as well. Let's take a look at Gunn. Uh, anything he could have done? He could. I basically, if he started Crowell over, basically what he would have to do is that he would have to put Crowder into one of these two wide receiver spots and bench one of these two guys and put Crowell in, and then he would have won. But that would have been tough to do. I would not have done that. And he's also down Dalvin Cook, which hurts him a lot. It'll be interesting to see what Josh Gordon does with the Patriots. That can go. Obviously, that can go either way. Anything else of note here? Cam, just absolute stud every year. Kareem Hunt, Kerryon Johnson. Yeah, Gunslinger 1 and 2, facing some question marks with his wide receivers, and maybe Dalvin Cook too, and who knows how hurt he is. And then the last game, the only 0-3 team is my team, Captain Tranny. So I'm just feeling great about my team right now. Even though I'm 106, not the worst. Every week I've been over 100 points. Pretty consistent. My team has done well considering Bell has been hurt. And then also on top of all this, Garoppolo just tears his ACL, and then my nice backup quarterback, Blake Bortles, scores 9 points against the Titans. So I'm glad my team is such a great spot right now. But it looks like all I had to do, which is pretty simple to beat Fawad's team, is start Robert Woods over anybody. But I wasn't considering that. But upcoming I might, but I don't think there was a way I could have started him over any of these wide receivers. Fawad's team had a very, basically, Brady, I mean, he would have been a lot better if Brady played up to his standards. Everyone else is kind of what they expected. I mean, going into last night's game against the Steelers Bucks, he needed, I think I was up 106 to 88. And I was feeling kind of confident, but not really, because I knew the Steelers were not the greatest defense at all. And the Bucks were at home. And I was looking pretty good until that last touchdown. It came late. The Evans touchdown, I think, came in late in the fourth quarter. And I knew it right as the play was happening. I was always looking at where Evans was on the field. I saw him make that move. I was like, fuck. I was like, screw it. Like he's definitely gonna score on that play. And for some reason, the Steelers defense just doesn't want to guard the other team's best player. Doesn't matter. They won, but definitely did not help my fantasy team. But that's fantasy football. I feel like I've gotten a little unlucky this year, but that's the name of the game. So, anything else from Fawazzi? Yeah, Gurley is just the number one player in fantasy. I know he's the second-ranked running back on your team, or second-ranked running back in the league. But I even over Kamara, I would just want Gurley on my team because I just think it's just so easy the way he gets his points. If you watch Rams games, it just comes the McVay is just such a great offensive mind, which just what they were with Fisher to what McVay has done with that team with Jared Goff to Gurley. It's basically the same team on offense that they had under Jeff Fisher, and they turned that Jeff Fisher team into the best, which is undoubtedly now. I mean, I guess the Chiefs are in consideration as well, but I mean, we have more proof that the Rams are the best offense in the NFL. Let's look at the standings. I think it's time to do that. 4 divisions. We have JD, George, and Bill. Top left in the Avengers. This is going to I mean, all these divisions are going to be competitive, obviously. But this is turning out to be one of the most competitive ones because you have the defending champ here in third place. And apparently, to some, the surprising JD on top. So this is going to be definitely a division to watch to see because this is not how it was slated to be in the preseason rankings. Same thing with the Justice League, kind of. I mean, only one team at 2-1, the others are 1-2. Hassan and SN. It's interesting. I mean, I know Mo is in the thick of things, but he has a lot of injuries right now. He's going to be lucky to keep going. It's gonna be interesting to see who wins this one as well. I can't really tell you, um, but that'll be interesting as well. Justice League. You got my division with the Guardians of the Galaxy. We got 2-1, 1-2, and 0-3. Yates looks pretty good to win this division. I mean, look, 0-3, you can still make the playoffs, but you have to get, first off, you got to get luck on your side, and that's definitely not what happened to me so far, especially with my quarterback in my running back situation. And you got to get lucky, obviously, and you got to get better performances. I mean, and it's funny because if you look, my team scored 330 points, and I'm 0-3. You have Bill. I scored more points than any of these people in this division over here, and it just has not gone my way. George is 287. He's 2-1, and I'm 330, and I am 0-3. That's fantasy football right there. Yeah, so Yates looks pretty good to win this. I mean, it's 3 weeks in. It's hard to tell. It's just good. It's just interesting to look how it's shaping up. And I believe the only 3-0 team in the league is your commissioner, Fawad. Flexing a little bit, definitely. He's got, let's see, let's just sort it by points. Through 3 weeks, your leading scorer is Hassan from basically his week 2 performance. That really carried him. Who the second looks like Yates. The third is Fawad. AK, I believe, is 4th. Those are the top 4. And let's not to make this more about my own team, but I have 391 points against. And the next highest is 357 with Mo. And then the next highest after that is 343. So I've been pretty unlucky with the schedule. I blame Fawad, whoever made the schedule. Just kidding. So that's week 3 for you guys. Not too much trade action so far, but we'll see. There might be some trades. I sent out a couple earlier this week, or not early. I sent some out yesterday. We'll see. Teams are going to be active. But that's it for this week, and hope you guys have a very productive and safe week.